you care about Black lives? The people that run Baltimore don't. I can prove it. Walk with me. They don't want you to see this. I'm Klacik. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This is the reality for Black people every single day. Crumbling infrastructure, abandoned homes, poverty, and crime. Baltimore has been run by the Democrat Party for 53 years. What is the result of their decades of leadership? Baltimore is one of the top 5 most dangerous cities in America. The murder rate in Baltimore is 10 times the U.S. average. The Baltimore poverty rate is over 20%. Homicide, drug, and alcohol deaths are skyrocketing in our city. Do you believe Black Lives Matter? I do. The vast majority of crime in Baltimore is perpetrated against Black people, who make up 60% of the population. So why don't we care about our communities? The Democrat Party have betrayed the Black people of Baltimore. If the politicians walked the streets like I do, they would see exactly how their policies and corruption affects us. If they don't want to see it, they don't want you to see this. Go to any Baltimore neighborhood and ask this question. Do you want to defund the police?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I had 3 sons killed in Baltimore City. And I think if we defund the police officer, it's going to be worse than that. So no, I'm opposed to that.
What are you going to defund the police for? Why? How do you defend your city, your community? Families are losing people.
It's not just Baltimore. The worst place for a Black person to live in America is a Democrat-controlled city. It's 2020. Name a blue city where Black people's lives have gotten better. Try. I'll wait. Look at this. How are children supposed to live here and play here? Democrats think Black people are stupid. They think they can control us forever, that we won't demand better, and that we'll keep voting for them forever, despite what they've done to our families and our communities. Are they right? I'm Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives. All Black lives matter. Our communities matter. Baltimore matters. And Black people don't have to vote Democrat.
Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. Okay, today we have some interesting stories for you. So sit back, watch. We're going to be talking today about a 7th Congressional District Republican running for the 7th Congressional District in my hometown of Baltimore. And her name is Kimberly Klacik. She is running against the warmed-over Democrat Kwesi Mfume in the Maryland's 7th Congressional District. And she may well be the answer we need in my hometown of Baltimore. Republican candidate in the 2020 election for Maryland's District 7, Kimberly Klacik, is a wife, a mother, nonprofit founder, currently elected to the Baltimore County Republican Central Committee. Mrs. Klacik grew up in, I think, Accokeek, I guess it is, Maryland, once known as the home of the Beretta gun manufacturer. In 2010, Mrs. Klacik, she moved to Baltimore once becoming engaged to her husband. In 2013, Kimberly founded Potential Me to assist undeserved women with workforce development. Underserved women with workforce development, assisting to close to 200 women become gainfully employed. 30% went on to obtain financial independence. As the nonprofit grew, she employed women re-entering society and quickly found out what it took to manage payroll and helping families thrive with opportunities she helped create. Republican congressional candidate for Maryland District 7, Kim Klacik, stands up against Black Lives Matter, or BLM. Baltimore, Maryland, Klacik newsroom reported this. Republican Kimberly Klacik is looking to win her election in the heavily Democratic Maryland 7th Congressional District in November and has put out a campaign ad that is getting a lot of attention. When I saw it, it had 270,000 views. Do you care about Black lives, she says in the video. The people that run Baltimore don't, you heard her saying in her ad. The 3-minute online entitled Black Lives Don't Matter to Democrats was released on Monday. Klacik joined Good Morning San Diego to discuss her and seen by millions across the country and her campaign to be the first Republican member of Congress in the district. We need it desperately there in Baltimore. The city is dying. Klacik is asking young people to look up what the Black Lives Matter supports, and I've been talking about this for a while, and then see if their policies align with what they believe in. Many young people are happy to support the movement, as nobody should disagree with saying Black Lives Matter, Klacik says. But nobody, she goes to say, Klacik wants young people, once again, I said, to possibly check this thing out. The 7th District attracted national attention last year when President Donald J. Trump referred to it on Twitter as a disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess where no human being would want to live. At the time, Cummings was the powerful House Oversight Committee chairman, leading a multiple investigation of the President of the United States, instead of taking care of his own district in his own area. President Trump shared Klacik's ad with support for candidacy on Twitter. Trump wrote, "Don't blow it, Baltimore. The Democrats have destroyed your city." So President Trump is urging you, those of you that are watching me that are in the Baltimore area, please, let's allow the Republicans to come in and revitalize and bring that city back. I've seen it go down from the time I was young and continue to go downhill. In those days, back in the days when I was there, it was a lot under control of the Mitchell family, which was, it's a nightmare, because they really didn't care about our people. All they did is kept us with entitlements, food stamps, and kept us in the slavery of welfare. So once again, we're going to be moving on right now. I have a shorter report I'm going to put in between the other report, but we need to get out and vote for Miss Kimberly Klacik for the Maryland 7th District to lead that community back into the United States, because it's being run by the Democratic Socialists. And this needs to end before our city is completely destroyed. Well, I'm going to take a break right now. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, and I'm your host, David Colbert.
Joe Biden, 47 years in Washington, 47 years of failure, skyrocketing healthcare and drug prices, higher taxes on working families, disastrous trade deals, jobs shipped to China and Mexico, total failure. Now Biden's embraced the failed policies of the radical left. The biggest tax increase ever, massive job-killing regulations, amnesty for illegal immigrants. After 47 years of failure, we've had more than enough.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. I'm going to be going on a little something right now. I did a little report earlier about President Trump at the women's rights proclamation that he signed recently for the freeing and allowing the women of this country to freely vote in the elections. Now I want to share something, because what I did was, I want to see if the Democrats were actually for the women's right to vote. Now I'm going to tell you something. The Democrats at that time, now I haven't verified this completely, but I'm going to give you the votes in favor and the votes against. But I'm also going to tell you the nays and the ones who didn't vote. And at that time, I don't know, knowing the way the Democratic Party is, I'm assuming it's probably them. But anyway, let's just read this statement here. This was something I looked up in history. A deputy federal marshal arrested Susan B. Anthony and brought her before the U.S. Commissioner, William Storrs, on the complaint of Sylvester Lewis. Listen to this. A Democratic poll watcher. Let's get that right again. A Democratic poll watcher who alleged, here we go to alleging, alleged that Anthony violated Section 19 of the Enforcement Act of 1870, which said only men could vote, of course, by voting in the congressional election on November 5th, 1870. So this woman was placed under arrest. I wondered why she was never pardoned. Of course, somebody brought it to our president's attention that 100 years ago, this woman was arrested and she was never pardoned by anybody in the Democratic Party or in the presidency at that time, which was also held by a racist. The president at that time was a Democrat, who was also a racist as well. As I told you earlier, he worked against the African Americans, trying to prevent them from entering into the government. But on this particular thing, he had to stand behind the Republican Party in order to get this bill passed, in order to save face. Anyway, the votes were as follows, people. 36 Republicans voted to approve in the Senate the women's right, the 19th Amendment, I think it was. They voted to approve it. 20 Democratic senators came in with them, and 56 votes passed the women's rights to vote. Now, there were 25 nays, and I can guarantee you those 25 nays and those 25 non-voters were Democrats. The reason why I say that is because they had filibustered a long time before to try to stop the women's rights movement from being approved. Of course, I got this even from a liberal reporting because they had to throw this in that Strom Thurmond, who was formerly a Democrat, came over to the Republican Party. Later on, Thurmond was also known as a segregationist. So I'm not saying that one vote would not control the situation anyway. There was a couple of ones that voted anyway on that whole issue at that time. But Strom Thurmond, yeah, he came over to the Republican Party. I have no idea why that occurred, but that does not say that every Democrat that voted during that time or was in the time of slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation came over to the Republican Party. Even now, when Democrats come to the Republicans, it's only a few, maybe one or two in a year. So don't tell me, there's a lot of people out here that try to say, well, no, the Democrats of that day were Republicans. No, they weren't. They were Democrats. The same party, if you look at this and look at what I just told you, they have people watching the polls. Watching the polls to make sure nobody that should vote would vote. And now here they are right now complaining about mail-in voting. Give me a break. Your history was against a lot of things. And to me, they were the later days or past days tracers. Okay, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back at you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. We'll be right back at you.
Joe Biden, 47 years in Washington, 47 years of failure, skyrocketing healthcare and drug prices, higher taxes on working families, disastrous trade deals, jobs shipped to China and Mexico, total failure. Now Biden's embraced the failed policies of the radical left. The biggest tax increase ever, massive job-killing regulations, amnesty for illegal immigrants. After 47 years of failure, we've had more than enough.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever, because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. So here we go. Biden's got him some Republicans on his side. To me, I think they're turncoats, like I told you, on a few run off. But these, of course, still remain part of the Republican Party. Some of them do. Biden Republicans, the GOP figures playing a role in the week's Democratic convention. And let me put these names out here for our Republican voters. Remember to keep these people out of your government. This guy's a mayor, I believe, or something. John Kasich, Colin Powell, traitor, and Meg Whitman are some of the Republicans who have backed Biden. Yeah, where's Mitt Romney? Anybody know where he's at? Well, anyway, John Kasich says America is at a crossroads. Yeah, they're at a crossroads, and they better make sure they stay on a road that's leading toward another Trump presidency, else they're going to be going down a tube, and you might call them something else, but you won't be calling us America. You might call us a communist nation or something. This year's Democrats' National Convention is featuring several Republicans in its effort to show Joe Biden's appeal to both sides of the aisle. No, he doesn't have appeal to both sides of the aisle. Anybody with any sense could see that this same foolishness that Bernie Sanders was coming up with, all of a sudden now he seems to be up there in the Democratic Party as well. The one they wanted to keep out of the way because he was so radical. The event's first two nights saw a number of high-profile GOP figures who spoke favorably of the Democratic presidential candidate. Ronna McDaniel says it's frustrating to see Colin Powell, never Trumpers, embrace socialism. But they are embarrassing the Republican Party to me because of the way that they're behaving with this foolishness. I know the measure of the man, reasonable, faithful, respectful, no one pushes Joe around. This is what Ohio Governor John Kasich said. Yeah, sure. He's a puppet right now in the Democratic radicals' pocket. In Monday's address, Joe Biden is a man for our times. Oh, give me a break. The man's about to kill off. He can't even remember where he's at, and he's a man for our time. Times that call for all of us to take off partisan hats and put the nation first for ourselves and our children. Oh my goodness, give me a break. Take off partisan hat? What party is oh my goodness, more partisan than the Democratic Party? Give me a break. One-sided votes, one-sided impeachment. Kasich was one of the last remaining Republican candidates who challenged Trump for the GOP nomination in 2016. You think? Yeah, of course. So are losers. Since then, Kasich has remained opposed to the president and has been one of Trump's more vocal Republican critics. Now let me say this. I can say this. They used to say this about criminals. When criminals get caught or they get they have this thing about pulling together. As you can see, the Democratic Party is. But Republicans, you need to get it together. When people challenge your party, you need to stand up behind the ones who are representing your party, which is President Donald J. Trump. We need to get behind him. I appreciate you getting behind him in the earlier terms, but you need to stay behind your president. Do not allow people to take you off to the wrong side of the fence. He says that criticism was on display Monday when Kasich said Trump is unlike all of the best leaders before him. Give me a break. And as divided the country, many of us have been deeply concerned about the current path we have been following for the past 4 years. You give me a break. This country has been following a path upward and onward. This is pure foolishness, but we're used to this with the Democratic Party and all these never Trumpers. Kasich was one of the 4 Republicans who spoke on the first day of the virtual convention, which was boring and received very little recognition from even the Democratic Party supporters. The same night Kasich spoke, former New Jersey Governor Christy Todd Whitman spoke at the convention. She described Biden as a decent enough, stable enough. That sounds so weak. Decent enough, stable enough to get our economy back on track. We need power. We need a man like Donald Trump to step in and start taking control, which he has, and he has brought this country to a higher level. People are not looking down on us and putting us down anymore around the world. They're realizing that we have a president that's willing to cooperate, and they are cooperating with him. Of course, the fake news media or the liberal media bought by the Democratic Party is still trying to make it look like the president's a racist, anti-Semite, all kinds of garbage that isn't true. All these things make no sense whatsoever. They don't play. It's just like the impeachment thing. They're all a hoax. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back at you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. They go on to say Donald Trump, and we know this is foolishness. Donald Trump has no clue how to run a business. I don't know. I think I'll probably leave it at that. Then they say Tuesday night featured former Secretary of State Colin Powell, who served under President George Bush. Colin Powell says Joe Biden will stand with American friends and stand up to American adversaries. Who's American friends you talk about, Mr. Powell? China? China's not our friend. China's only our friend when we're putting money in their pocket and supporting all the garbage that they try to push to and in this nation. Okay, let's move on. Well, interesting enough, Trump calls for Goodyear boycott as company moves to clarify policy on political messages in the workplace. President Donald J. Trump on Wednesday engaged in a war of words against Goodyear, calling for a boycott in reaction to the social media post that suggested the company was playing favorites with employee-approved political speech. Trump appeared to react to the suggestion the company was sanctioning the use of this trademark. They were sanctioning, which means they're going to put a sanction on it to try to forbid it. Make America Great Again slogan as unacceptable on the job, even as it permitted use of other culturally sensitive messages. According to the social media post that was widely circulated and picked up by NBC affiliate Madison, Wisconsin, a Goodyear presentation slide entitled Zero Tolerance approved of pro-black, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender messaging, yet the slide also grouped pro-Trump, pro-police vernacular into a category listed as unacceptable, along with other politically affiliated slogans or materials. Well, head on to Firestone, go on over to Discount Tire. We don't want to be purchasing anything, us conservatives, from people who want to silence us. They always want to silence the conservatives. Even the social media is trying to silence us, even limiting our reach. Even the reach of this show. If you can believe that, which it's already been proven. Hopefully our complaint to them will correct this matter. On Wednesday, the president locked in a re-election battle, they say, against former Vice President, the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden. It's not no lock. The battle is nowhere near close. They said he lashed out at the tire maker, urging his followers to boycott it. Yes, we need to boycott them. Because if they're going to be discriminating against us, who are the conservative Americans, and I'm going to tell a lot of you American, African-American people, you are conservative, believe it or not. Those of you who watch me, you are conservative. Our goal, what we were raised with conservative ideals. A lot of us were raised in church. We were raised with conservative ideals by our grandparents and our parents. Have you forgotten? Yet we are standing behind a party that's for abortion, same-sex marriage, and all these other things that are against the Word of God. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And it's the truth. It's not me. It's according to God's Word. If you don't like God's Word, that's on you. And then President Trump said you can play that game. So that's why he asked for a boycott of Goodyear tires. They announced a ban on mega hats, get better tires for far less, he said. This is what the radical left Democrats do. Two can play the same game. And we have to start playing it now. We're going to start playing it, Donald Trump said on August 19th. In response to Goodyear's issued a statement saying that now they're backing up. Goodyear entered a statement saying the slide in question was not created on or distributed by Goodyear corporate and was not part of its core diversity training. I can possibly believe that because there are some spies out there. The Democrats are famous for spies and inserting people in to push false narrative. Listen to the Democratic backstroke. They're doing a backstroke now. The company insisted the backlash was part of a misconception about our policies and that it backs equality and law enforcement. Okay, yeah, you don't want anybody coming in and robbing your tire stores, obviously, and knocking in your windows. Yesterday, Goodyear became the focus of the conversation, created some misconceptions about our policy, he says, and our company. Goodyear has always wholeheartedly supported both equality and law enforcement and will continue to do so, and they were saying this on Twitter. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because I am a conservative. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They're saying that they weren't responsible about that. So let's all go put our mega hats on and go into Goodyear and campaign for President Trump. Okay, let's move on. Their stock is down too. The stock traded on New York Stock Exchange briefly dropped by more than 2% before recovering lost ground after Goodyear's issued rebuttal. So don't mess with President Donald J. Trump. Talk about he don't know nothing about the economy. Boy, these people are such fools. You really think that's true? I don't think so. How many of y'all understand the fact if you get money, you're able to make billions of dollars, you're not a fool. You figured out a way to prosper in this capitalist system that the Democratic Party wants to take away from. So we're going to take a short break here at the Black Conservative Voice, and we'll be right back into them in a moment here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth, and I'm your host, David Colbert. I just wanted to share with you tonight that our advertising rates are very cheap. So if you're interested in getting spots, our spot rates are extremely cheap right now. So you go ahead and start purchasing those spots. Our email is on the bottom of the screen. You purchase, or you agree to call and sign a contract to purchase spots. We'll send your contract out. We'll make the terms up as you prescribe. And then we will advertise your product or your business. So it's up to you. And during this election time, election season, I'm calling on Republican party people who are running Republican running for office, please do contact our station and take that opportunity to advertise during our different events that go on during the day. We advertise most of Donald Trump's speeches, and we advertise a lot of other conservative programs. Once again, my name is David Colbert, and this is the Black Conservative Voice. We're going to go ahead and close out with this story, but I want to say something before I close out. People, I'm talking to everybody, Republicans and Democrats. November hits, go out and vote Republican. If you get the Democrats out that are screwing up our country, then you can put some other Democrats in, hopefully, that will not be so radical, trying to take away your freedoms, trying to overtax you, trying to hurt the middle class, and to give the wealth of the ones who are wealthy, to give it to programs and entitlements. That's what they want to do. And I really encourage the wealthy in this country, you better get behind Donald Trump. And I don't care if you're a Democratic wealth person or not. They don't want to help you. If you're with their party, they don't want to help you unless you got some special deal with them. They're used to cracking those deals on, especially Joe Biden and his quid pro quo. If you want that $1 billion, you better fire that prosecutor. Boy, it runs in the family. His son Hunter, another guy just sitting around in his basement doing nothing, getting paid over $1 billion. Boy, what a foolish these people are who are on this side of our former Vice President Joe Biden. Barr made some statements recently. Actually, it was earlier today. You're watching this program on Thursday, the 20th. And on the 19th, Barr made this statement. Attorney General William Barr talked to the media during a news conference about Operation Legend. According to the nation's top cop, more than 200 suspects have been charged with federal crimes and more than 1,000 arrests have been made since the Justice Department launched Operation Legend. I told you his murderer has been brought to justice, and of course here in this country you're innocent until proven guilty, so let's see how the trial goes. Attorney General William Barr made the announcement during a press briefing in Kansas City. The initiative was launched in July in response to nationwide riots called to defund police and the surge in violent crimes in the major U.S. cities. He says its mission is to save lives, solve crimes, and to take violent offenders off the street before they can claim more victims, stated Barr. Rather than demonizing and defunding our police, we are supporting and strengthening our law enforcement partners at the state and local level. Operation Legend was named in honor of a 4-year-old boy who lost his life through a gunshot wound, followed by another older gentleman, 22-year-old young man, African American, both of them, on June 29th in Kansas City. His suspect killer, 22-year-old Bryson Ellis, is currently behind bars and is facing second-degree murder. So, I'm telling you who I'm voting for. I am voting for Donald J. Trump in the fall, in November. And I am also voting for as many Republicans that I can vote for that who are on the side of President Donald J. Trump. And I urge the Republican Party, those in the different areas, those that even watching me right now who are running for office, you need to advertise on this program. We're getting a lot more viewers, a lot more watchers. Of course, social media is trying to find ways to limit that, and I'm calling on them to stop it. In this country, we have free speech. Why do you want to limit free speech or truth? This is CTM News Network, the voice of truth. I haven't said anything bad, so they're coming out against me trying to limit what we say and what we're having to do to maintain airtime. Well, anyway, you can find us on Roku TV. We're also on Amazon Fire. But I wanted to do a short little advertising here. Tomorrow evening, on our program on Friday, we're going to have Dr. Melinda Morris, who is running for the Texas State Senate in the 13th district here in Houston, Texas. So I urge you to get out and vote for her. She stands for a lot of things, also on the point that she is pro-life, she is pro-women, she is pro-healthcare. She's on. We're going to have her here tomorrow, and she will tell you herself what she is standing for. And you need to get out in the polls in November and vote her into office in the Texas State Senate, District 13. God bless you, and good night.
He went, he became president. I didn't go, and I'm still vice president.
And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are.
Think about it. Everybody has known from day one how smart, how bright Hillary is. Everybody knows how tough she is.
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
So be successful. I sincerely hope some of you become millionaires and billionaires. I mean that. But engage.
You know, there's a during World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it the.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.